They're kind of everywhere. Tomorrow, just in the mountains, and we'll look for upper 60s with just a few showers here and there. I'm KIRO 7 Pinpoint meteorologist Nick Allard.
Our traffic and weather are brought to you by Michael's Toyota, Volkswagen, and Subaru of Bellevue. 3 amazing brands, 1 local family, all at a single, easy-to-reach location right off I-90 at Eastgate. Right now, it is 67 degrees and mostly cloudy in downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Listen on demand. Go to mynorthwest.com and click podcasts. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk. Powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru studio, and we are streaming this Big Lead on Facebook Live. Go join us there if you wish. Welcome to our top stories this hour. And so I guess, Jim, I'm just so reluctant to commit to this because what if something better comes along between now and 6 o'clock? But I've kind of committed since I did it last night. I live tweeted the Democrat debate last night, and now everybody here wants me to do that tonight again. But
you and Dave Ross were both busy last night, so they were quite entertaining.
What if something better comes along, a better opportunity for my evening?
You are a man of commitment, and you've committed to it, so you're going to do it.
I'd rather you sleep.
Well, it's over by 8. I mean, I'm not going to fall asleep before 8.
Well, you're going to be talking about it tomorrow anyway.
I know. This is the tedious part of this job.
Everybody felt, we got some messages over, Twitter, saying that they felt sorry for me that I was going to have to cut it all up, but Inslee only spoke for 4 minutes. It didn't take me long.
No, it
because
really did.
That's all we needed.
And we will produce and play the fruits of your labor coming up in just a few minutes here.
Who's tonight that we're really that interested in? I'm not.
Well, you got, for me, it's Hickenlooper.
The guy that watches porn with his mom.
Was that him?
Yep.
Yeah. I hope that comes up as a topic. Yeah, he's the one who went and saw Deep Throat in the theater with his mommy when he was a college kid. So that'll be interesting. So, yeah. Do you think that Chuck Todd will ask him about that?
Well, it's going to give you stuff to talk about tomorrow. So I say do it. And
I likely will do it.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see who debate line up tonight.
Oh, please. You know.
I know it's Bernie.
You even know it's going to Biden.
Biden. Sleepy Joe.
Buttigieg. Peter Buttigieg, South Bend, Indiana's mayor, who's been having some troubles recently because of recent police-involved shooting.
That's right.
But he was having a meteoric rise until that point.
Let's see, who else?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris, yeah.
Oh, my Dori.
Well, no, there's got to be somebody else. Who else is there tonight?
There's 10 of them.
Well, I know, but I can't find the other ones. And I want to know if I'm going to live tweet it. I want to at least be able to do some research on it. Do we have I can't believe I can't find a list. Okay, anyway, I'll probably be live tweeting tonight's debate. That's all you need to know. Julian Castro was last night.
Yes, that was last night. He made quite the impression.
I got it. Hickenlooper. Ooh, I want to hear what Marianne Williamson has to say if she's president of the United States.
One of the things that she tweeted was that she's going to have to learn Spanish really quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because everyone was speaking Spanish, or at least 3 people were speaking Spanish last night.
And what's her background, that Marianne Williamson?
Also, she should learn from that because that didn't really work very well for Beto. His numbers weren't very favored.
Marianne Williamson is an author, a self-help author.
Wow.
She's written 13 books, New York Times #1 bestseller.
Michael Bennett is part of the debate lineup. Is this the former Seahawk Michael Bennett?
No.
Or is this a different one? Okay, it's a different Michael Bennett. Oh, and Swalwell will be part of it tonight, too. And Yang. Both Swalwell, Yang, and Hickenlooper
So I think one of the things you can track is if any of those names that you just learned for the first time will get more time than Jay Inslee did.
I wonder if any of them are lawyers. I'd like to see them hang a shingle with that. Swalwell, Yang, and Hickenlooper, Esquire. So anyway, yes, we'll probably live tweets. Just follow along at Dori Monson. A bunch of people are trying to correct me, and your correction is ridiculous. Because I played right before the top of the hour, I played the Julian Castro from last night, who got mad applause from the social justice crowd because he's going to provide abortions for people without a uterus. And a lot of people said, no, what if it's a biological woman who identifies as a man? And I've already covered that. Here's the soundbite if you just are tuning in.
Yes, it would. I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice. And what that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female, is poor, doesn't mean that...
Okay. And people say, well, what if it's a biological woman who identifies as a man and is pregnant? Well, you can't be a pregnant man. That's physically, biologically, and logically impossible. If the only way you can have a baby, I've talked about this a million times, you have to have a uterus to have a baby, and the only human beings who have uteri, is that the plural of uterus? The only people who have uteri are women. So there's no such thing as a pregnant man. So... let's get past all of that nonsense, everybody who was trying to correct me on that. That is mere prelude. Let's get, and by the way, if you know the plural of uterus, the Online Trading Academy text line is 98973. Please let me know.
It goes either way, uteri or uteruses. Just so you thought you made up a word, but in fact it exists.
I didn't think I made up a word. I was actually quite confident of that. Okay, yeah, but if you have a preference, what you would like to see me use going forward. What did you say? Did you say OMG off mic?
Yes.
No, I'm a very democratic show. I'm a very democratic show. If you have a preference, because I'm going to be on the air for a long, long time. I don't know if you heard the news. Signed a long-term extension. If for the years to come you have a preference, if you would rather me use uteri or uteruses, please text me on the Online Trading Academy text line at 98973, 98973.
Dori, you the man.
What? I usually hate your little asides.
You mean you usually love them?
Well, I kind of love that one.
That one really got you going.
Yeah, it kind of did. Okay, so I guess a man can have a man, but you can't have a uterus. Or men can't have uteri. Okay, let's get right to the big lead.
The Big Lead, Dori Monson Show exclusive.
Okay, we do have an exclusive update because if you were listening last hour, a listener had emailed us a photograph from a Sound Transit light rail station, and it was rather remarkable to see. It was a sign that said, if somebody asks you to produce your Sound Transit rider ticket, please pull it out of your pocket slowly, and that'll give people who didn't buy a ticket time to get off the train. And so we called Sound Transit because it was a 4-color print, and I used to work in a print shop. 4-color print job, that's like a creme de la creme. And so it looked pretty professional. It had the Sound Transit logo, and we called Sound Transit and said, is this something you are actually endorsing? And I understand our news desk has gotten a response from Sound Transit.
Yes. So what they're saying is that someone is putting up these fake decals on Sound Transit trains and facilities owned by Sound Transit. And again, they are not fake. They're not official, and Sound Transit's trying to take them down whenever they see them.
So they are fake.
They're fake.
They're not official. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Which is what I suspected.
Yeah. So thank goodness they're not telling the deadbeats how they can easily escape detection. So
but what is the motive to go through that
I mean, these look real.
Extent.
These are fancy.
Yeah.
They look legit.
No, that's not a cheap print job.
No.
It honestly is not. Unless
it's a huge sticker.
if it has a sticker on the back, it's you have to have something somewhat professional to do that. Although it's pretty cheap to print stuff at home.
And don't you think, I think it's one of those where someone thinks, oh, this is going to go viral. Oh, it's going to just fit into that whole narrative.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, either
and then it gets
that,
spread and then...
Yeah, or it's somebody who truly believes that they don't ever want to see anybody get a ticket. And one of the most infuriating tickets I ever got. That's too long a story. Never mind. I'll tell it some other time.
Okay.
I just realized it'll take forever to tell. Okay, so that's it. So they are on the Sound Transit trains and stations, but Sound Transit says they do not endorse them and they would like to get them removed. So they're working on it. Now you know. Up next in the Big Lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
So the debate last night, we did a pretty thorough recap at noon today, but Jay Inslee, he got less mic time than any of the 9 other Democrats in the debate. He just got totally lost in the shuffle, which makes it so odd because the Inslee campaign is sending out these press releases this afternoon saying that all these MSNBC and CNN commentators talked about how Jay Inslee killed it last night. And what they're talking about is one line that Inslee used when they asked him what is the greatest threat to the future of our country.
The biggest threat to the security of the United States is Donald Trump, and there's no question.
Congresswoman Gabbard.
Okay, and a couple commentators said, well, that got the biggest applause of the night. But it was a horrible misstep by Inslee because his whole campaign has been climate change, climate change, climate change. And if he wanted to stay on message, on point, what's the greatest threat to the future of our country? Climate change. But instead, he went for the cheap, if I say Trump, it's like the real hack comedians. I've talked with some really good stand-up comedians the last few months, and almost all of them have told me that any comedian who uses Trump as a punchline is just a cheap, lazy comedian. Because, yes, you can get everybody to scream and hoot by merely saying his name. And that's what Inslee was last night. He was the cheap, lazy guy who said, I'll get a lot of applause if I just say Trump. But you needed to stay on point, on message, and say climate change, Jay. You've been telling us for 2 years now that that's the only thing that matters, that's the greatest threat. You call it an existential threat every chance you get. Horrible misstep by Inslee, but they're sending that out like that was some great triumph for him. And then there was this.
And I'm proud of standing up for unions. I've got a plan to reinvigorate collective bargaining so we can increase wages finally. I marched with the SEIU folks. It is not right that the CEO of McDonald's makes 2,100 times more than the people slinging hash at McDonald's.
Okay, slinging hash. What are they selling weed through the drive-thru at McDonald's? Slinging hash. He tried to explain that on MSNBC today.
It's the first thing that came to mind. I respect hash because I used to sling hash in college as a freshman. That's how I tried to make a tuition. I had to leave because I couldn't pay for that high tuition where I was, but I respect hash.
He respects hash. There's a campaign slogan. Next up in the Big Lead.
The Big Lead. Dori Monson Show exclusive.
A couple of hours ago, I talked with a young woman who has been the victim of an illegal who was here, who raped her 2 times. And then the judge unimaginably set the rapist free, and he went back and attacked this woman again. This time he violently assaulted her. And she got hold of us through a friend of mine and said she wanted to share her story, not only of this rapist, but also of the judge, the prosecutor, Governor Inslee, Dow Constantine, all these people who push for sanctuary. And what was amazing is they gave him a third-degree rape, which is a slap on the wrist. And they said, well, we'll just give you time already served and go ahead and walk free. Please go back to Mexico and call us when you get there. It's essentially what the judge said. Instead of going back to Mexico, they set him free, and he went back and assaulted this woman. And why didn't they charge him with a harsher crime after he raped her twice? It's relevant what this guy first did to you with those rapes, because the prosecutor said essentially he didn't file a tougher rape charge because you didn't fight back enough.
Right.
And I know that that's something that has made you furious. Tell me why.
Yeah, I just found that out yesterday, and it's very, very disturbing to me that they don't think there was enough force when, I mean, I can only give so much force. I don't have the same use of my body that everyone else that's, walking around able-bodied does. It's not, there's a limit to what I can do in terms of fighting back.
Yeah. That is actually what the prosecutor's office told Q13 yesterday when they were asked, why only third-degree rape? And they said, well, other than the violence of the rape itself, he wasn't violent with her in pinning her down, all that. That's because she's in a wheelchair. She can't run away. She's limited in being able to fight back. She can't kick him. She doesn't have use of her legs. And her son, her 2-year-old boy, was in the next room, and she was afraid for his life if she fought back. And so they said, because you didn't fight back harsh enough, we're only going to charge him with the most lenient of rape crimes. It's unbelievable. Not only what this woman went through, but what our judicial system and our politicians have put her through. Just go back to Mexico and let us know when you get there. But no supervision on him whatsoever, and that's when this guy was able to walk free and come back and violently assault you again?
Correct. And, on just going back to the initial charge also, it's even if they didn't charge him in a higher degree, they could have at the very least added aggravating circumstances, such as, my physical situation, the presence of a minor, and they did not.
And so I asked her why she wanted to come on and talk with all of us. What's the message that you want to deliver to everybody who's listening right now?
So there's two things. One is, this happens all the time, and, to anybody, by any person from any nation. So, right, that's, the only reason this is, become a topic is because of the sanctuary law.
Yeah.
So, just giving word to the other people out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of victims
out there.
They matter
too.
Yes, absolutely.
Another thing was the prosecutor's office claims that they don't have a conservative filing policy and that they never told me that. So clearly they did send that information along because I have an email that's explaining this to me when I inquired about, why they charged him so lowly and that they needed to charge him higher.
What a failure. The judge let an illegal rapist walk free. He then assaulted his rape victim again. Dow Constantine, who loves sanctuary laws, won't comment. Jay Inslee, who signed the sanctuary law, won't comment. The judge's spokesperson sends winky face emojis to Brandy Cruz when asked, are you going to bring him back into the country? Like it's a big joke. Like it's a big game for them. They all sicken me. And my heart goes out to this woman who came and shared her story. We wrote about her when she came on with us last week, and she does have a GoFundMe that we've linked up in my blog. You have to go back a couple days to find that. That is your big lead this hour.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
We're going to check the news for you, and then count down our favorite sound bites of the day. Awesome audio next.
This hour of the Dori Monson Show is brought to you by Aging Options Retirement Planning.